Tiny homes. Oh yeah, I'm going there again. So buckle up. Welcome back everybody, my name is Alexbeltran and I talk about real estate tricks, tips, and topics. So hit that subscribe button and that little bell because if you don't, really, there aren't any consequences. I would just greatly appreciate it. So if you haven't seen my other tiny home videos, I have this super vicious ambivalent feeling towards them. On one hand, they're so cute and adorable and they're super photogenic. No wonder why they do so well on social media and why there's so many documentaries trying to convince you to buy them. On the other hand, my business brain kicks in and I realize that they're useless piles of beautifully assembled 2x4 that just so happen to cost $10,000 on Amazon. Damn, that's cheap. It's like loving and wanting a puppy, but having to be honest with yourself. I don't have the time or the space to properly take care of a dog at this point in my life. So I have to settle for volunteering at the local shelter to walk the dogs instead. Which is why in this video, the business side of my brain is gonna explain to you the 5 expensive hidden costs of buying a tiny home and why realistically you should never buy one. Damn it. Numero uno, financing fees. Believe it or not, it's actually really hard to find financing for tiny homes. Even the big bad banks know that tiny homes are worthless. If you happen to default on that loan, what are they gonna foreclose on? A couple of dust bunnies and a coffee machine? It's really the reason why they won't give you a home mortgage for a tiny home. And actually, technically speaking, a lot of tiny homes are classified as trailers or modified trailers, which narrows down your prospect pool of lenders that much more. And even if you happen to find a lender that's willing to finance you, get ready because they're gonna come with some super high interest rates and some fat fees because tiny homes are just way too risky. And look, I know what tiny homeowners are gonna say because they actually angrily emailed me because of the last video that I made. The internet has no chill. It's awesome. They register their tiny homes as RVs, and there are plenty of loans that are readily available for that type of registration. And it just so happens that the payments are usually lower than a regular mortgage. Makes sense? Yeah, obviously the payments are going to be a lot lower because your financing amount is lower as well. But have you read the fine print? I'm pretty sure that they're hammering you with high interest rates and a lot of hidden fees. Karen. That's her real name, by the way. And if you own an RV, then you know that storing the RV is a huge hassle. It's the reason why RV access in a normal home is so highly sought after. Not to mention, you can't live at the storage facility where you store your RV. And the RV parks only let you park there a couple weeks at a time because an RV, by definition, can't be tied to a foundation, leaving you with the option to pull a personal loan. But have you seen the interest rates on those? They're anywhere between 10 to 20% depending on your credit. That is a lot, especially in comparison to buying a regular home and getting an interest rate of 2.6%. That's the interest rate as of the time of this recording. With the average tiny home costing anywhere between $60,000 to $80,000 with permits and assembly, which is another part that I'm going to go into a little bit later on in this video, making it an expensive, pointless purchase. And if you just happen to have that much cash lying around to purchase a tiny home, then why don't you just cut out the middleman and light that cash on fire? Because financially speaking, the result is the same. Number 2, the price you see is not the price you get. The price you see on a lot of these websites is just the material cost. That does not include the price of assembly, the price of permits, or the price of the foundation if you're going to place it on a foundation. The permits and the inspection part are going to be the funnest part of this entire process, and that's if and only if the city allows you to actually build a tiny home. If you're planning on building it in a city, good luck. The city is most likely not going to allow a building that's going to devalue the surrounding properties. I'm really not kidding. You building a tiny home devalues the entire neighborhood, and homeowners are not going to like that. And the city is going to side with homeowners. And it's in the best interest of the city to keep assessed property values as high as possible. you're going to have to abide by state and local building codes, which can include everything from head height to fire prevention egress windows. I mean, the list can be very long, and chances are tiny homes are not going to qualify at all, which leaves you with the option of building your tiny home out in the middle of nowhere, which, I mean, after 2020, actually seems like a positive. All right, and just for the sake of argument, let's just say that the city allows you to build your perfect dream tiny home in the middle of town. You still aren't saving any money because price per square foot, a tiny home is more expensive than a regular home. Simply put, the price per square foot in the US is about $150 to about $175 per square foot in comparison to a tiny home that is anywhere between $300 to about $450 per square foot. And the reason for that is because everything has to be custom. It's that simple. The closest thing that I can relate it to is my love for motorcycles. I dread having to get new tires for my motorcycle because they cost twice as much and wear out 10 times as fast. Not to mention, you only need 2 of them, and the front wheel is smaller than the rear wheel. It's really Costco economics if you think about it. When you bulk buy, things come out cheaper, something that the tiny home simply can't do. Number 3, insurance. Good luck finding insurance that will cover you at all because insurance companies don't consider tiny homes a permanent residence because they aren't. And if you, like Karen, register your tiny home as an RV, then yeah, there is insurance for that, but it's simply not the same. And if something happens, according to Murphy's Law, something will happen, you are left to foot the bill or cry on camera so that sympathetic strangers can fund your GoFundMe page. Either way, the insurance ain't paying. Number 4, it's a depreciating asset. The beauty of real estate is that it's an appreciating asset. Remember earlier in the video when I said that if you have the cash to buy a tiny home, you might as well just light it on fire instead? The depreciation is why. You know how much your tiny home is going to be worth in a few years? If you, like Karen, registered your tiny home as an RV, then about as close to 0 as possible. Or if you decided to go the foundation route, then whatever the value of the dirt underneath your tiny home is worth is how much your tiny home will be worth, because the dirt is going to be more valuable than the tiny home built on top of it, because it's going to be more cost effective to knock down the tiny home and build a proper home on that plot of land. Number 5, and probably the most expensive part about a tiny home, and that is that it's a waste of time. And time is more valuable than any amount of money in the world. The amount of time that you're going to be wasting building this tiny home is not worth the amount of time that you're going to actually enjoy the tiny home. So months or years, however long it takes you to build that tiny home, waste it. The function to necessity value simply is not there. And look, I've said this before, I see the benefits of tiny homes, especially for nonprofit organizations that are looking to eliminate homelessness, trying to fix affordable housing problems, or some type of special use. But nonprofits have a completely different agenda, and that is not to profit. And they usually build a lot of these tiny homes as communities, which really drastically drops the cost of building these tiny homes. Not to mention, they normally get special permits with the city that they are working with. And look, at the end of the day, I'm just a dummy on YouTube. You can do whatever you want. If you really, really, really want a tiny home, then have at it. Who am I to ruin your dreams with business logic? Besides, someone has to build tiny homes to fill up my Instagram feed to keep me entertained. And question of the day. Actually, I couldn't really think up of a question to ask today, so just hit that subscribe button, follow me on Instagram, and catch you guys on the next one. Peace.